Hi there, Lisa Edwards of Exclusive Career Coaching, and I want to talk today about growing as a leader. So whether you are currently in a leadership role and you want to expand that, or you want to step into the leadership ranks, you're going to need this information. So I looked at a lot of different resources, and over the years I've read so many books on leadership. I've listened to speakers, I've followed podcasts of leaders, and I've gotten all of that information kind of drilled down into 4 things that I want to share with you today, and then I want to give you a challenge. What I realize about leaders is that while they may show up in a lot of different sort of flavors, they all have some commonalities to them. There are all some universal truths about leaders, and how those truths express themselves may vary, but they're essentially the same things. So I want you to think about these 4 things. So the first thing that I saw as I looked through all of my leadership materials is that leaders have their own house in order. Now, this does not mean that they are perfect people. Of course, that's not a real thing. But they have their house in order in the sense of being very self-aware, self-correcting, self-directing. They do not blame others for their mistakes. They do not look for alibis or scapegoats. They have emotional intelligence, and if that's something you're not familiar with, I encourage you to read up on it. It's a super important topic in today's workplace. But they have their own house in order. They are taking care of themselves. They are growing as leaders. They are reading. They are learning as leaders. They are learning how to be better at their craft. So that's number 1. Number 2, they treat others with respect. So whether this person is the custodian of their company or a vice president, they are treating them the same way with respect. They are treating external stakeholders and customers of all levels, all with the same high level of respect. Number 3, they create positive working environments. So they set about to create a workplace that is as free of stress, conflict, strife as possible, creating harmony and collaboration where people feel engaged and it's a conducive work environment. And then number 4, they are brave. They are not afraid to take calculated risks, calculated being the key word. They're not afraid to admit their mistakes. They're not afraid to admit when they don't know something. They are willing to be taught and to be teachable. They are brave. So here's my challenge to you. I want you to take one of these areas and decide that you're going to move the needle on it in the next 90 days. Now, it could be the one that you feel the weakest in, that you feel like you have the most room for growth, or it could be one that you think you will need the most for a particular next step in your career that you'd like to take. Doesn't matter what it is, but select one. I don't recommend that you do all of them. And then come up with a plan over the next 90 days, 3 months, in which you will move the needle. How will I move the needle on this thing? So number 1, is it going to be getting your own house in order? Is there some area of you as a professional, as you as a worker, that needs to improve? Do you need to be more self-aware? Do you need to have a higher emotional intelligence? Is that the one you want to move the needle on? Number 2, do you want to move the needle on treating others with respect? Is that something you could really stand to improve in? And what steps will you take to do that? Number 3, is there something you can do in the job you're in right now to create a more positive working environment and really show your boss your potential leadership capacity in that regard? And then number 4, do you suffer from a lack of bravery? Do you tend to be super conservative, not take calculated risks? Do you want to really play it safe all the time? Are you unwilling to admit your mistakes or admit when you need help? Is that the one you want to move the needle on? So pick one of those 4, move the needle, and I'll see you next time.